Hi, everybody. Welcome back inside the CrossFit Update Studios. Sean Woodland, Roy McKernan, and Tommy Marquez with you, continuing to get you set for the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games as we break down all the age groups and divisions. Today, we take a look at the 14 to 15-year-old and 16 to 17-year-old male athletes. And when you look at the scores that these kids are putting up, the numbers and the times, these are numbers that just 3-4 years ago would not have only been respectable for a CrossFit Games athlete, but pretty impressive.
Yeah, I looked up what my max clean would have been from the open in this division. That would have been 18th, so I wouldn't have been close to the top 10. And that always brings perspective, right? Just what the landscape of fitness is for young men nowadays, all over the world, really, because I look at myself at 14, 15, even 16, 17, and what was I doing between, besides running to Taco Bell for cups of Baja Blast and a cheesy gordita crunch? It was nothing near what these young men amazing young men are capable of.
That's a good order. I looked, my score would have actually been 17th, so we were really close on that one as well. And I know, to see what these guys are doing, absolutely beastly. And they're at this age where I feel like you could cut off their finger and it would regrow the next day. So these are athletes who are really pushing the boundaries, and that's what I like to see at the games is they just give it all. I mean, you see every single time they empty the tank and they can make it up to the next event.
Yeah, they barely look tired. And I don't think they know what sore is yet. So
Right.
Just wait, kids. But we talk a lot about how the CrossFit Games have an international flavor to them, and that is certainly the case on the male side of the teenage divisions from 14 to 17 years old. A little more than half come from the United States, but 42.5% are from outside of the U.S. And it's not like they're just trickling in from the exact same place. I mean, this is worldwide now.
Yeah, more than 14 different countries across the globe are going to be represented at the CrossFit Games just from the boys' side of the competition at the Games this year. And you look at where they're coming from. We have the fittest teenagers from Mexico, New Zealand, Canada, Venezuela, Iceland, Guam, Spain, Chile, Brazil, Colombia, Ireland, Puerto Rico, and Italy. So it's not like Europe's just taking over or just South America's taking over. I mean, these kids are flying from literally all corners of the globe and really showcasing the future of what this international sport's going to look like.
Yeah, really. We went to the Open in Brazil, and because there was such enormous growth there, so to hear that list of countries that you just rattled off, it really speaks to the future of what the sport might look like you said, and some cool places where there's already fantastic athletes who are just sinking their teeth into CrossFit. So future's bright.
Let's start with the 14 to 15-year-old division, and this one is not even close as far as trying to figure out who the favorite is. Tudor Magda swept everything. First in the Open, then he won all 4 qualifier workouts. Then 31 points separate him from second place David Garcia Vargas. Only one 14-year-old qualified for the Games. That's Brynjar Ari Magnusson out of Iceland. But look, this looks like it's Magda's to lose.
Yeah, he was obviously being perfect in the qualifier is great, but he's also won 7 out of the 10 workouts through the Open in the qualifier that he's done thus far. But I kind of want to hold off on just coronating him just yet because there are some holes. He had 2 finishes outside the top 10, 1 outside of the top 20, which if you see that fluctuation at the Games, you could get buried with one bad event. One athlete in particular that beat him at the Games last year, Nolan Piedrick, will be competing again alongside of him. Piedrick beat him by a couple of spots last year, and Magda has also traditionally done worse at the Games than he did in the Open and qualifier last year as well. So there are some causes for concern, but he should be fine.
What I like to see about him is when I look on his social media, I can see that he surrounds himself with other athletes in his division or even the age up. He trains with Dallin Pepper, James Sprague, Reese Mitchell. They recently got together and do a training camp in preparation for the CrossFit Games. I can only imagine there were some fireworks and they pushed each other quite a bit. So that bodes well for him. I think that he's training with one of the top runners from last year's 14 to 15-year-old division, who's the front runner in the 16 to 17, Dallin Pepper, but he's training with really strong athletes.
It's crazy to see these young athletes emulating what the top athletes do now in terms of getting together and surrounding themselves with other top talent and basically creating those same relationships that we see throughout the sport.
Yeah. So David Garcia Vargas was closest to Magda. And Tommy, you mentioned that Magda doesn't do as well at the Games as he does in some other competitions. So what are the chances that David Garcia Vargas finds himself on top of the podium?
I think that he's got a great chance. There's a lot of unknowns. So last year he did fantastic in the Open. The online qualifier knocked him back to 29th. He didn't get to go. Looks like he's plugged up a lot of holes, again, being the closest to Tudor that we see. But for me, it's too many unknowns. But if he can back up the scores that he posted both last year in the Open and this year all the way through the qualifier, I think he's got a great chance, and one of these international flavors as well, representing Mexico. So I'd love to see him do well.
Let's move on to the 16 to 17-year-old division, and this might be the most intriguing teenage division out there because it is the closest as far as the leaderboard is concerned after the age group online qualifier. Just 15 points separate first from third. Only 2 males in the top 5 won a qualifier workout. That's Dallin Pepper and Zach Mayer, and last year's champ Angelo DiCicco aged up. So when you look at this, who is the favorite right now on this list?
Well, I'd say without a doubt it's Dallin Pepper. And I spoke to him before the online qualifier, and he had already made some changes. He got a nutritional coach. He started working with brute strength, and he said he was focusing a lot on strength. Well, I went and checked his Instagram before we came out for the show. He PR'd his snatch. And then in the same video, here's that annoying capacity I'm talking about. He goes back to the bar. He's like, hey, why don't I try it again? So he PRs the snatch by 5 pounds, then picks it up within one Instagram video. So that's the kind of progression these guys are making. And so an even stronger Dallin Pepper, I think, in this age category is going to do just fine.
And it's even further supported by the fact that last year at the games, he got stronger as the competition wore on. You look at the last 5 events, he won 3 of them and won 4 of the last 7. So outside of performing well strong, he knew how to close. Like you said, the Young's ability to recover is certainly impressive. But I do think this is the deepest division in terms of talent and parity, so it's going to be a fun one to watch to see if he can hold off being the front runner.
The Young. Like they just called him the Young.
What about Dylan Cage, second after the online qualifier? What do we like about him?
What I like about Dylan is that in the younger age, he's got experience basically. In the younger category, he plays 5th. Last year he aged up, didn't do so well. He said he made a couple mistakes and ended up 12th overall at the end of the weekend. But obviously from the scores he's been putting up, it looks like he's doing a lot of stuff. He's been training at Hyperfit USA. He also sought out a nutritional coach, which, can you remember what you were eating back then? It was just like anything that would fit in your mouth would go in, right? We literally used to have gallons of ice cream in the fridge just trying to put on weight for football. But with these guys, with their capacities they already have, with a focus on nutrition and with coaches who can kind of hone those skills in the right direction, I think he's got a great chance of at least giving Dallin a run for his money.
Well, there's another guy as well that I think we should look out for. Maybe didn't do as well as maybe he had liked in the opening qualifier, and that's Vincent Ramirez. In terms of experience, nobody has more experience as a teenager at the CrossFit Games than Vincent. When he steps on the floor in Madison this year, he'll be the only athlete with the honor of saying he's competed at every single teenage CrossFit Games competition since the inception in 2015. He's never finished lower than 5th. His first time at the Games, he was 3rd. Second time at the Games, he improved as the older half of the division, winning the 14 to 15-year-old as a 15-year-old. Last year, slipped down a little bit, down to 5th. But if history is any indication, he should move back up and at the very least be in the hunt for a podium spot.
If you have a chance, if you're going to be at Madison, or even if you're just watching at home, check these kids out when they're competing because it is pretty incredible, and we will be talking about them for quite a while.
I know that he finished 18th, but I want to give a quick shout out if you don't mind.
Okay, no, go for it.
A young man named Tig Lawless, who you know that I've got a particularly soft spot in my heart for the Irish because it's my roots. And the Irish people have been telling me about this kid over and over again because he is now the 2nd Irishman to qualify for the CrossFit Games. And after the Open, we were talking about this earlier, after week 1 of the Open, his mom diagnosed with breast cancer. So imagine having to battle back from that, just like mentally and dealing with all that stuff, still managed to qualify. So just a big shout out to Tig.
Yeah, best of luck to him. I'll keep an eye on that kid for sure in Madison. Reebok Pick'em is back here in 2018. If you remember last year, Reebok had a competition where they wanted you to pick the top 10 male individuals, top 10 female individuals, and the top 5 teams. If you got all of them right, so if you went 25 for 25, you won $1 million. Well, no one did it, so they're back this year, and they've doubled the prize package. So $2 million if you pick perfectly the top 10 men, women, and top 5 teams. You can go to Reebok.com/pick'em for more information on that. And even if you have the best picks out there, you still will win something. So it's not all or nothing as far as the $2 million are concerned. Again, Reebok.com/pick'em for that. Tickets for the CrossFit Games are still available. Go to games.crossfit.com for all the information you need on that. And if you are heading to Madison and you still need a place to stay, check out CrossFitHotels.com. So we have you covered from every single angle, and we will see you in Madison now in just a matter of a couple of weeks. That is going to do it for us for today. For Tommy Marquez and Rory McKernan, I'm Sean Woodland, and we will see you next week.